So like,
Okay, you may start.
so um, so our topic is whistleblowing, and so I'm gonna talk about the pros of whistleblowing. So first, whistleblowing it's an act of disclosing any unethical, illegal, or wrong activity happening within an organization. Example could be like a government employee revealing corruption scandal of a high-ranking government official, and the person revealing the activity is called a whistleblower. And so today I'm arguing that whistleblowing is undeniably ethical because it upholds public interest by promoting accountability and justice, transparency and truth while fostering innovation and improvement. So first, whistleblowing protects the public interest by promoting accountability and justice in the system. So it fosters an environment where everyone understands that their each action could be reported, potentially leading to facing consequences. Like there have been a lot of incidents where corporations or organizations has made evident that leaders and managers are prone to act unethical when faced with ethical problem. To give an example, I have an example of Boeing 737 Max crisis. So basically, what happened was that the Boeing they were so in a rush to meet their production deadline that they were compromising with quality and safety, and even to get certification from FAA, the test pilot they deceived the FAA authorities, and as a result, we witnessed Boeing 737 Max plane crash in 2018 and 2019 within just a span of four months, and like 346 people, including both passengers and cabin crew, lost their life. And later on, investigation based on E.D. Pearson, who was the whistleblower for Boeing, testimony revealed that a senior manager at Boeing failed to address severe safety and quality issues, and forced its test pilots to deceive Federal Aviation Authority about the existence of new um, uh, MKS software in its aircrafts, and as a result, Boeing was ordered to pay criminal monetary amount of over 2.5 billion US dollars by US Department of Justice. So, thus, we need a mechanism like whistleblowing that allows individual to report witnessed misconduct or unethical behavior to ensure accountability, justice, and protect public interest. So my second argument is that whistleblowing is ethical because it promotes truth and transparency by often aligning with deontological ethics. So, like most of the time, people they tend to justify their unethical actions by emphasizing on serving a greater good. Um, for instance, like after the 9/11 attacks, United States government introduced the Patriot Act to prevent further terrorist attacks. So it basically gave more power to national security agencies. However, in 2013, Edward Snowden, he was a former employee of National Security Agency (NSA), and he released several documents revealing the extent of these mass surveillance programs over ordinary people. So basically, like they were collecting phone data from people. They were like they had like data like whom you are talking with, how long you are talking with, and so there was a huge controversy that it's violating people's civil rights, and it's also violating people's privacy. And after the release of those documents by Edward Snowden, the United States government faced a uh, huge um, huge criticism from its citizens, and acknowledging this misconduct on June 2nd, 2015, United States Congress passed the USA Freedom Act, which imposed certain restrictions on collection of telecommunication data. So, whistleblowing it ensures that actions are morally ethical by promoting truth and transparency. So finally, whistleblowing is ethical as it leads to improvement and innovation by exposing hidden flaws or weakness in the system. So I have an example of Enron Corporation, which was an American energy corporation. So basically, it was involved in fraudulent practices to hide their financial difficulties. So they would like manipulate their financial reports, and they will do like fraudulent accounting practices um, in order to hide their debt, and so that they are making more money. However, after its disclosure by Sharon Watkins, who was the former vice president of Enron's, thousands of its employees and investors lost their money because the company went bankrupt. So to prevent this kind of corporate scandal in the coming future, the U.S. Congress introduced Sarbanes-Oxley Act in 2002 that introduced stricter regulations regarding accurate financial disclosure, corporate responsibility, and audit committees. So whistleblowing certainly promotes improvement and innovation by exposing systematic flaws that are hidden, and it identifies underlying issues and encourages reform to address it. So those are the arguments from me. So now I would like to hand it over to Jarlan.
Okay, thank you, Raps, for your wonderful argument. So let me present my counter argument against the whistleblowing. So although we know that whistleblowing is oftentimes as a champion, as it means to promote what you said, accountability, to protect the public interest and foster innovation, but we also must recognize the significant downsides of whistleblowing. For example, whistleblowing can be also a what we call it a double-edged sword, and with the serious consequences that that may not always lead to positive outcomes. So right now, my right now I present my what we call the negative aspects of whistleblowing and why we should never be overlooked about the whistleblowing, the negative effects of whistleblowing. So first and foremost, you talk about the Boeing 777 Max crisis, right? So it is it can whistleblowing can cause a significant harm to the company's reputation and stability of an organization, even when the wrongdoing is relatively minor or it can be addressed. Uh, some whistleblowers raised valid concerns about safety, leading to massive public scrutiny and also financial losses for Boeing. While the safety issues needed to be addressed, the damage that we all know that the damage that been done to Boeing reputations was catastrophic and affecting a thousand of employees, stakeholders who are not directly involved in the misconduct. The ripple effects can be extend beyond the wrongdoers or harming the innocent people, harming the innocent employees, and destabilizing the entire industries. So and also whistleblowing can lead to severe retaliation and also in a government professional harm. So you talk about the government that has the the what we call it the data privacy of every individual. Despite these whistleblowing uh, legal protections from the government, whistleblowers can frequently face retaliations from their employers, not only for the employers but also their co-workers and other institutions and in the public as a whole. They can be demoted, they can be scrutinized, they can be labeled as a traitor, uh, and they can even face a termination, and it can cause a long-term effect not only on your physical distress but also the emotional distress that that a whistleblower can may face. So, in the case of the what we call it the NSA mass surveillance program, while these some argues that these actions expose the critical information with this is the data privacy that you're talking about earlier. He has been exiled. We all know that he has been exiled and labeled as a traitor, and many of them are unable to return to his home country, and these harsh consequences made faced by whistleblowers and discouraging from them from speaking out, leaving the system unchanged, uh, leaving the employees be fearful of coming forward to expose this kind of whistleblowing activity. And so, so that the we also have to consider that these whistleblowing can lead to organizational trust and lead to a negative workplace culture. For example, in the aftermath of whistleblowing, the relationship within an organization can become strained. Employees may fear being reported for minor mistakes, leading to a culture of suspicion and a lack of corporate cooperation. Based on my research, this is based on the two research that I've gathered. More than 70% of the whistleblowers face what we call as the face maltreatment by their co-employees, by the management itself, and it is resulting to a stressful experience to them. And this suggests that these higher rates of retaliation and mistreatment faced by these whistleblowers, it underscores the severe injustice involved in exposing unethical practices. And in addition to that, uh, another major concern that whistleblowing can be misused for personal gain or driven by what we call it the malicious intent. So not all whistleblowers are motivated purely by their to seek justice, not only to expose those wrongdoing, not only to what we call it uh, to become a what we call to become a hero in the company, not only in the company but in a government or in the public itself as a whole. So in some cases, whistleblowing can be weaponized, can be used as a tool for revenge, career advancement as well, or what we call it the financial incentive that they get as a whistleblower. So there's a false or exaggerated claims that can lead to to drawn out the legal battles, damage reputations for the company itself, and create unnecessary what we call it the public outrage, especially when the government and the public interests are involved. So the complexity of the proving the allegations means that something legitimate cases are dismissed. So while these previous ones gain undue attention, the credibility of whistleblower and the justice system as a whole may be crumbled into crumbling down and decreases the trust against the public. So lastly, whistleblowing had a limited impact, especially when the systematic issues are too deeply rooted to be addressed by an individual actions. Although the whistleblowers are what we call it the hero of the day, they are the issues, they are the what we call it the enlightenment from the wrongdoings that organizations uh, are experiencing, even though they bring a critical information to expose those wrongdoings. Some some organizations, some some top organizations can are resist what we call it resistance to change, or sometimes they can cover those problem, they can cover up with their own money, and without the what we call the right mechanism in place to ensure the accountability of a whistleblowing alone is not may not lead to a meaningful improvements or meaningful innovations. And in some cases, the fallout of whistleblowing creates what we call more problems than it solves, resulting to the when it comes to government, the legal disputes, the public distrust, the stagnation rather than the progress. So to close my arguments, while these whistleblowing has its merits, there's the risk, the downside. Also, the downsides cannot be ignored. We cannot be overlooked. It cannot be. you know cannot be set aside. So because the retaliation, the workplace distrust, the reputational harm, the misuse, and the overall impact suggests that whistleblowing is far from perfect solution. It is not the only solution that that the in order to solve that problem. But instead of relying on these whistleblowers to address the wrongdoings of an organizations, an institution, or even in a public, uh, we have to focus on creating an what we call it, the internal system that encourage the transparency, the the accountability, the ethical behavior of the organization as a whole, without resorting to a drastic measures like whistleblowing. Only then we can achieve a long-lasting improvement without the negative consequences associated with whistleblowing. And that's the end of our presentations. Thank you, Professor. Any closing statement, Rabs?
Let's agree to disagree.
Why?
Yeah, I mean, like we both presented our views, and think we'll always have like difference. Like in some cases, we'll always have differences, but I think we gotta respect that, respect different perspective. So yeah, so I agree with your points, but I still would like to keep my points as well. So yeah, that's all.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
We all know that there are some advantages of
yeah,
whistleblowing. It can help, it can help the overall state, the overall, what we call it, the positive agendas of a company by using whistleblowing. But we often forget the aftermath, the consequences that these whistleblowing are doing. So yeah, we have our own perspective, we have our own, our own sides, but we have to agree to disagree. Okay, thank you, Rabs, for that wonderful, arguments.
yeah. Thank you, Jerlan.
Okay, thank you, Professor, and hopefully that you love our presentations. Thank you.